Welcome to another exciting edition of Schmoedown Night in Canada. The very first time that we tried to start the show. That's never have we messed up starting this show before. I am your host, Dave Lees, formerly producer. Now I'm just a guy. I don't have anything special about me. But what's special about this episode? I am joined by the boys from Mount Schmoedown, Ben and Ryan. How are you guys doing?
Doing well. Happy to be here.
Yeah, I'm good actually. Man, this is honestly this week, Schmoedown wise, I have to admit, best. I could not see any better way to end the month of May with those Schmoedown matches.
3 fantastic regular season matches that we're going to be covering today. Before we jump right in, did you have a favorite of the 3? Obviously, Ace versus Sean Sullivan, Mark Haas versus
Jacob
would have been. Thank you. I always mess up saying that name every time I've tried.
I rewatched that match twice just so I can hear the pronunciation correctly. So yeah, I think sure.
And Josh Horowitz and versus, oh my God, why I'm a terrible host of the show.
Walter Hauser.
Thank you so much. And so, did you guys have a favorite match of the 3?
Personally, for me, it was Cabrera and Sullivan.
Ben, what about you?
I have to agree with Ryan. It's Sean match. There's no words.
See, I love going to Upset City, but I gotta say the IG match, I love seeing new unproven talent come out and prove it, and so that IG match really did something for me. And you're right, this was 3 fantastic matches. We're gonna start with Ace versus Sean Sullivan. Star Wars Player of the Year last year versus the Saint, who has had just some really tough luck when it comes to his win-loss records in the Star Wars division.
Well, I would say that, yeah, he's had on some unfortunate luck with certain questions, or kind of like with most, veterans or people who are big in Star Wars, like he will know the answer, but then his brain will just crap out on him, and then all of a sudden by the time it's over he realizes that he messed up. But even then, Sean's record, I really believe, just like with Adam Witt and Scrimshaw, definitely does not reflect who he is as a player. I mean, you saw throughout the entire match, he may have thrown himself off a bit, got himself disgruntled, but even then he still remained in a calm state to where he's able to answer questions. I know Sean, I know one thing, when it comes to tournament seasons, I think tournaments really don't do Star Wars players justice. But either way, I still think Sean, his win is coming. It's down the road. It's really going to happen.
Ben, what about you?
I have to agree. I like both players, and I would have been happy if either one won, but yeah, Sean will win eventually, but I'm happy Ace won. I like it a lot.
It is, we talked about this, I think, last week or the week before. The Star Wars division, when you look at even this tournament, it is so stacked, and almost every match is a pick'em fight where anyone could beat almost anyone on any day. And so it's just so tough. So you end up with these guys like Adam Witt and Sean Sullivan who are just crushing it, but then they miss a question here or there. Obviously, not the greatest performance, as we'll get into, from Sullivan today, but still admirable. But that's just what's going to happen almost every time, is we're going to have these knockdown, drag out fights, and there's no comparison to this in any other division. I think like there's
really not. I mean, to build off what you're saying, and also from yesterday on our episode when we had Soda on, when we were talking about Alex Damon when it came with Star Wars Now, and just like what you said, any one of these competitors can beat the other one on a given day. It's what's made this match gives an example as to why Star Wars is really far apart from all the other divisions. I mean, of course, singles teams and Inner Geekdom, you think, oh, you give them the right set of questions, or they get the right category. This person will beat this person, or this team will knock out another team. But in Star Wars, it really is one question or one round can change anything in the game. And that's where I loved about this match between Ace and Sean. Both of these guys had a lot to prove going in. I mean, Sean, obviously, with his, not just with his record, because personally to me, his record means nothing. But unfortunately, to many general Schmoedown fans, they are mainly looking at his record and comparing him to his match that he had against Marie and to all the other Dragon Con players who have been successful in their first matches. So to know that Sean had himself a huge hill to climb, not only that, going up against Ace, who, of course, last year, he blew everyone's expectations out of the water. So knowing the fact that Sean's battle was this uphill, I won't say he had a lose-lose situation. He was just more of he had nothing to lose, honestly. He lost the mask. If he lost, so what? He'll bounce back. Mm-hmm. If he wins, he moves forward and goes up against Thomas Harper. And I love the fact that in this match that even though Sean got he got thrown off in the first round, I still love the fact that he still wants to take his signatory shots each round. He's like, okay, I'll take this right here. Let's give myself shake the roots here.
Yeah. Now we're in a great conversation about the Star Wars match, but we're going to put a pause on that because I talked about how much I loved the Inner Geekdom match because I love new blood coming in and showing what they've got. And we are lucky enough to be joined by the Moose himself. Moose Haas, how are you doing today, sir?
Nice.
Hey, I'm good, guys. How are you?
Pretty good, actually. Really good.
Sorry for the delay. In my infinite wisdom, I actually read the posting as 3 p.m. and I assumed it was Pacific Standard Time, even though you very clearly indicated it was Eastern Standard Time. So I do have more time with you guys today. How's it going?
It's going great, and don't worry about it. As is every conversation, we have 3-4 different time zones to manage in each group chat, so it is confusing as hell for all of us too. But we want to jump right in because we know we only have you for a limited amount of time today. You started off your promo saying, "Hi, a lot of people, you probably don't know who I am. Could you just talk to us for a second? Who is the Moose? Who are you?"
Well, that's a philosophical question to lead off with, I guess. So I said that for a reason. I mean, it was funny because when I was drafted, look, I up until literally entering into the Schmoedown, I had zero social media. And if you look at my Twitter handle, I've heard several people be like, "Oh, dude, he's a bot." Because it's just MH or Moose Haas, and it's just got a huge series of numbers that follow it. And, the unfortunate thing is it's that way because I don't know how to change it because the whole world of social media is still fairly new to me. And I think that's the reason why I said nobody knows who I am. When I was drafted, Mark Ellis and the rest of the announcers even said, does anybody know anything about the Moose? And then I filmed a promo. It was the Den versus the Exchange. And in the promo, when I popped up and I was reading the comments, people were like, "Who the hell is that guy?" So when I was filming my promo, I was like, you know what? I'm going to lead in with that, and I'm just going to keep sticking with it. So that is the whole reason I had mentioned that at the beginning. And me personally, the Moose is Mark Haas. And I don't think very many people in the Schmoedown will ever learn my first name. I'll probably eternally be known as Moose, which is funny now because now every one of my family members and friends all call me Moose as well. So I guess we'll just kiss Mark goodbye and we'll just stick with Moose Haas going forward.
It's a powerful name, I gotta say.
It does. It works. And in a way, it does roll off the tongue, especially when Christian wants to do announcing names. So it does work much better. So, I mean, you can be Mark when you're doing these after shows, but when you're in the zone playing, the Moose shows up. And I'm not going to lie, Moose came out and the Moose really just toppled over each question in your match. It was very impressive. I mean, I normally part of me wants to break some of this stuff down, but just knowing that this was your first match going in, personally, Did you feel like there's any pressure on you, or you just went in there the mindset just to play and have fun?
I mean, I said it even in, kind of the pregame interview. They asked, what's your goal today? And it was all I just kept thinking to myself, because again, this being my first Schmoedown match, and I've been a fan for 8 years or 8 seasons. And I just kept thinking, you know what, just get the answer right. Just if you can get the first answer right, like it's going to be like a lava flow. At that point, if you can get it right, it's just going to keep going. And,
Yes.
I had kind of told myself, like, don't get caught up in distraction. Don't worry about what's happening on the left or the right or in the chat or anything like that. Just focus in and continue to hear the questions for what they are. So yeah, the goal really was just to, just get one right answer and then take the next question and see if you can get that one and that one and that one. And, there's always pressure and nerves that are going to go into these types of matches, because it's a right or wrong situation, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
the end game is you have to get more right than wrong. So it really was a little bit of more of a pressure situation. And I came off of that match and went and had dinner with my wife, and she's like, "What questions did they ask you?" And I was like, "I don't even know." I could hardly remember some of the questions that were asked.
Well, they often say that you remember the questions you didn't get right, and so it doesn't surprise me that you didn't remember many of them, because like Ryan was saying, perfect in round one, but we don't talk about the bonus, that's fine, and just crushing that Spider-Man category, which is really, I think, what myself and a lot of fans have been wondering. You spin away from Spider-Man and then get given it as opponent's choice. Was that a tactic? Was that something that you had planned on, or did the question just line up with what you thought?
Well, opponent's choice is obviously never the tactic that you're gunning for, but I did know that Jacob's definitive strength was Star Wars, and I wanted to take that off of the table for him. So I spun away from Spider-Man, intending to get Star Wars, or at least hoping to get either spinners or Star Wars. And then he spun Star Wars and he got his strength. But that was kind of the like strategy going into it, was let's take this off of the table and force him to go into a category that he's not comfortable with. Or at least I don't know. He's a rookie, so I don't know if he was comfortable or not, but I did know his strength was Star Wars.
But that was very smart thinking going in, and we have seen plenty of times when an opponent's like preferred strength is taken off the wheel, it does throw them in a state of flux, honestly, because they're trying to balance or trying to re-strategize, try to come back on like what else could they do. I mean, personally, when I was watching, I've seen Spider-Man spun twice so far in Inner Geekdom matches, and the questions have been pretty much a good mixture of some surface level actor questions, like who played this character, and then a mixture of maybe some plot based questions. And I thought with Spider-Man, since it was spun twice in previous Geek matches, the questions may have gotten a little more. Let's say I was thinking you probably would get more Andrew Garfield Spider-Man questions and Holland Spider-Man questions than you did with the Raimi questions, which was but even then you still had I saw you had like a perfect balance of questions to where that strategy they had to where they thought, okay, well, you spun away from it, so we'll get some steals, and you pretty much just like kind of blew their like plan out of the water as well. So I think there was a lot went into it, and you pretty much just showed to whoever your next opponent is that just because you spin away from something and if you land an opponent's choice again, doesn't mean you're going to be bad at it.
Right, exactly.
I don't mean to cut you off, but are we disparaging the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movies here? Like,
No, I'm not disparaging. Right. I'm just saying from the last two matches I saw Spider-Man, especially in Barbarian had more of the Raimi questions than he got with he only got one Garfield question. So I figured that he would have gotten 3 of his questions would have been from the Garfield movies.
Okay. Good.
To be fair, I'm sorry, but there are more of the McGuire movies in general, and Holland is in more Spider-Man and MCU movies than Garfield. Garfield only has 2 movies with him, as Spider-Man. So
But
you have
even
to
then-
think.
No, keep going. It's yours.
You have to think his movies will be granted the least, right?
Mhm.
That's
You would think
yeah, you think so, but if you look at Garfield Spider-Man movies, there is definitely a lot more that you can get for some deep cut questions, especially in Amazing Spider-Man 2. Like that,
You saw
film
that,
just
Paul.
that throws everything up against the walls to where you can do maybe a 50 to 75 question document on that. I know a friend of mine who could probably get 400 questions out of the first 30 minutes of Amazing Spider-Man 2. So
Yes, they could get questions. But how many people will know the answers to those questions? Because
I do.
Yeah, Mark Haas does.
Yeah.
Now, you said you've been a fan of the Schmoedown for 8 seasons now. Why Inner Geekdom? Was that something you wanted to jump into?
Look, I've always, I think, been gravitated more towards like comic book movies. And I'm as cinephile as it is. I love all movies as it is. But, I was that kid growing up who, I would go and play sports and then I'd go home and read comic books. Still, every Wednesday, I still buy comic books because that's new comic book release day. So Inner Geekdom was kind of a no-brainer for me. Some of the categories this year are completely new, and some of the movies in Inner Geekdom and these newer categories. Like, I hate to admit this, but up until getting into this league, I've seen one Alien movie. I dropped off after Predator 2. So some of these movies, I have kind of been forced to get into those genres that maybe I didn't gravitate towards, and it's been great. I'm an Alien fan, I'm a Predator fan, but yeah, Inner Geekdom always kind of made sense for me. I mean, the MCU is probably the greatest movie franchise ever made. DC's got some hits, but if I needed to just like sit back and relax and unwind, I'm gonna throw on a comic book movie. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So Inner Geekdom was kind of made sense for me to go into.
Yeah, I kind of want to follow up on that. Since you said you are a fan of Schmoedown for 8 seasons now. Knowing what these new, and the fact that you just said you're now a big Alien and Predator fan because they're now adding Inner Geekdom, to say that these new categories have been brought in, like dystopian future, the fact that animated now is now an official, like it's really testing the waters on some IG films, and then of course with bringing films like oh my God, I'm forgetting some of the other ones. I know it's dystopian. Oh, Jurassic Park, yes. Knowing the fact that these franchises and movies are brought in here, does that help make it much? I mean, how is it in your mind making you much of a better IG player now? I mean, since the fact you said you love comic book films, so you feel like you got that on lock. Is it free up your time now even more to just explore this new area within IG? Honestly.
Well, that's the one thing about Inner Geekdom is you can feel like you've got something on lock, but really you're always going to need to go back and restudy these things. As you guys kind of mentioned, I mean, there's only 2 Spider-Man in the Mark Webb Amazing Spider-Man movies, right? But man, there is a lot of questions that's been asked in the Inner Geekdom so far this year about those 2 movies. So it's difficult to say you have a lock on something. There's just such deep categories, but it does make it more, I think, entertaining to study. Because I love the swashbuckling movies and I love the time travel and the dystopian movies. And it almost kind of gives you the opportunity to revisit these like franchises or these movies that you did love, but now you're looking with a fine-tooth comb and you're identifying, okay, who's the name of the guy on the left? I don't care about, Sarah Connor. I care about the police officer that's arresting her because that's going to come up in the Schmoedown.
Yeah. Now, you talk about transitioning from fan to now you're a player, and you've obviously shown that you can just be fantastic, almost looking like a veteran in your first match. How much of that do you attribute to the Finstock exchange and the faction as a whole? And what's it like going from a fan of Bobby Gucci to being managed by him.
Well, going from a fan to a player is terrifying, especially when I'm not on after show. I mean, this is a first actual interview I've given. So you guys are getting the exclusive here, but also it's kind of terrifying, to be just a regular schmo watching and a fan, and then getting the opportunity to play. And I didn't know what to kind of expect coming into the Finstock Exchange. I didn't know if you were going to come in and you were going to be, hey, you're part of the team, but you're on your own for, knowing what you know, learning what you learn. And honestly, coming into the Finstock Exchange is one of the biggest team environments I think I've ever experienced. And being managed by Gucci is awesome. I mean, he gives you tips and suggestions, and if you're going too fast, you're going too slow, or the nerves are getting the most of you. I mean, he sees those kinds of things. I mean, he's been doing this for so long. He knows what to say to you to either calm you down or get you into the right headspace. And I mean, nobody on the exchange, nobody is accomplishing anything on their own. Everybody is helping everybody. I mean, leading up into my first match, all week long, I'm getting quiz questions from the Barbarian. I'm getting it from TaylorMade. I got Brother Lomas on the chat, and he's throwing questions at me. And then his wife is writing questions for me, and they're throwing it. So nobody is accomplishing anything alone on the exchange. And I think that's why we're seeing the success that we're seeing, is because everyone is invested in everyone's win.
Well, you can be even more invested now, because you saying that we're the first after show you're doing of many. The last person who we got first was Adam Collins, and then he went on to win the belt. So if that speaks for anything, you're destined for great things this year. Ben, me and Ryan have been talking a lot. What do you got to say to the Moose?
Yeah, I mean, you guys are pretty much saying everything I had wanted to say. Come back to me.
Don't worry. You don't trust me. We're definitely gonna make sure that you definitely throw in some of the hard hitting questions like a good reporter would. But actually, wanted to jump back on what you said when it came to round 2, wanting to get Star Wars from Jacob. Having, now that the match is out and watching it, seeing, and maybe now with the questions, seeing what Jacob got for Star Wars. I mean, of course, 2020 hindsight and all that, but did you, at the moment when you were hearing these questions, did you feel that you were going to be able to get any perfect, like get all of his answers, or was just kind of like, oh, I'm glad I didn't spin I didn't choose Star Wars?
Do you think he's going to answer that? Come on.
Yeah. Well, I will say that in the moment,
you don't have to answer it.
In the moment, there was one question where I stopped for a moment, and when he gave the answer, I was like, okay, I would have come to that, but it would have taken me some time. But yeah, I would have probably gone 5 for 5 on those Star Wars questions too. I got one skill from him, and then at the end, I knew his answer that he had to go to multiple on. And I was just hoping he was going to miss that so I could get the KO. He put up a hell of a fight, though.
All right,
Ben, I do have a question. Is there any part of you, after hearing those questions, is there any part of you that thinks maybe one day you'll try out for the Star Wars thing?
Sure. I mean, originally I came into this saying that maybe, hey, I could possibly play in all 4 leagues. And, you see some of these Star Wars players, and, I trained with Gold Leader, and that guy's knowledge is outstanding. Holy smokes, man. I try to stump that guy, and I walk away from it being stumped. And so I do think, I mean, if your focus is specifically on Star Wars, then yes. At some point in time, I think that if that was where I really wanted to kind of hone in on, then yeah, I probably could. But these Star Wars players, I mean, you have to play almost perfect rounds. I mean, one of the most recent matches between Gold Leader, his opponent checked to multiple choice twice. And it's almost like, hey, if you check the multiple choice twice in Star Wars, you're going to lose the match. So right now, I think I'm good at Star Wars. Could I play tomorrow in a Star Wars match? Probably not.
I used to think that I could do pretty well in Star Wars. And then I watched Marie Wilson versus Gold Leader. And the fifth question was, what type of gas do they pump into the chamber to poison Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan? And I was like, how does anyone know that?
Yeah.
How does everybody know that?
No, I felt very confident in Star Wars until last season when I saw Laura and Ace go one-on-one with each other. I'm like, yeah, no thanks, I'm good.
Now, we know we only have you for a couple more minutes here, but obviously the answer is going to be to win every match, become an Inner Geekdom champion. But what are your goals as a part of the FinStock Exchange and in the Schmoedown as a whole? Do you want to go into other leagues soon? Do you want to wait? What is the Moose's plan?
Well, I obviously want to go as far as I possibly can in the Inner Geekdom, but I am still slated to play in the singles league and the teams league. I have a partner. I'm pretty sure I can't mention, but I do.
Trust me. I don't think
no, guys, it's his first show. We could probably trick him. We could trick him.
Guess what? Christian's gonna reach in with it. Christian or Grace is gonna reach in and be like, "Yep, this episode's not on YouTube."
Right. It's like the first tweet I think I sent out was like, "Hey, why when I was drafted was my nickname the Moose?" And I got this quick response, and it was like, "Your nickname is the Moose." I was like, "Got it, Moose Haas it is." But no, I do still want to play in the singles league, and I do still want to play in the teams league. I mean, at this point in time, it'd be nice. Like my goal for this season is to get a win in each one of those divisions. You know, if in the future I'm able to, add another division like a Star Wars in there, that would be awesome. But right now, let's get a win in all three divisions. That's my goal. Inner Geekdom's my strength. If I can make a run in Inner Geekdom and, do some damage in that league, possibly get, maybe even a title shot, awesome. That's obviously the goal in Inner Geekdom. The other divisions, get wins, get points for the exchange.
Yeah.
We're going to be wrapping up with the Moose here in just a minute. Ben, you told me to come back to you. You've had lots of time to think.
I got my question. It was not the Star Wars question.
That's right, man. The Canadian education system is not what it used to be. I'm sorry.
But either way, Ben, like, any lasting questions? Like,
I almost grabbed the Crown Royale, and I was gonna have the Crown Royale out for this interview, and then I realized, dude, I can't be drinking whiskey at 12:30 on a Sunday. So.
Oh my god! I just, technically on the Alexander Keith's logo, it's a caribou, but if I squint real hard, it looks like a moose.
It could be.
It could be a moose.
Have 5 or 6 of those, and it'll look like a moose.
Exactly. But so. Moose, before we let you go here, is there someone who either a rookie that came into the IG this year, or, if you want to call some shots, call some shots. Is there anyone who you're really looking to face down the line?
Well, I called out Amaru at the end of my match, and that's going to happen. So right now, that's the focus.
Do you think you can take him?
I don't know. We'll see. Hey, he is a great competitor, and there's a reason why he's the number 1 rookie picked. So, I mean, my goal from the get-go and coming into this is really been to just test my mettle. I mean, I'm a trivia nut, and usually my trivia consists of like pub trivia. And I have like a standing, appointment every week to go to the pub and have trivia. And this is the first time I've had to just hone in specifically on movies, as opposed to, what's geography and, let's name famous politicians. This one's been specifically about movie trivia. And so my goal from the get-go is, come in and really just kind of keep that same mindset that I'm here to simply play trivia. And if you want to know how good you are, you have to challenge the best. And right now I had a great first match as a rookie. The best rookie out there is Amaru Moses. That's why I called him out at the end, because I want to test my mettle. And if I'm going to test my mettle, I got to call out the best of my own. And the best of my own right now, that's Amaru Moses.
It used to be all geography and politics, and now it's all fake geography and politics.
Absolutely right. Yeah.
Moose, thank you so much for joining us. We know we only had you for a little bit. We hope to have you back very soon, celebrating even more wins. If people want to keep in touch with you, though, where can they find you?
And my ridiculously long Twitter tag, and that's probably going to be the extent of it. Like I said, I'm kind of a bit of a ghost at the moment, so you catch me on these kinds of things. I put out maybe like a tweet a week, and it's usually promoting something regarding the exchange. So if you want to follow me, follow the Finstock Exchange. I get more mentions there than probably anywhere else. Hey, thank you guys for having me on too. This is really cool. And
Nope, you're most welcome.
Big fan. You guys are doing the Lord's work. Keep it up.
No problem. That warms my cold Canadian heart.
I mean, it's already a little too warm here in California. So I mean, even though I'm pretending right now I'm in Canada with you right now, Dave. But even then, that I really appreciated that.
Ryan, you're in California.
Yes, I am.
Oh, nice.
Me too.
I'm actually the only.
Okay.
I'm the only Canadian actually on this show today.
We're honorary Canadians for being a part of this group.
That's true. If you're
all hosers as far as I'm concerned.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Moose. We will talk to you soon, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Cheers, guys. Have a good day.
Cheers.
Have a good one.
All right. That was fantastic. Thank you again to the Moose. And like I said, last person to come on our show, last person we got the exclusive was Adam Collins. So, we just saw the next Intergeekdom champion, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, Ryan, I know it's going to be tough, but 26 minutes ago, you were making a very good point about Sean Sullivan. Do you remember what that was?
Well, yeah, I was. Of course, I had to, I had to put it in a lockbox for right now. But I'm going to be opening that lockbox. Hopefully, I can find the point. But even then, what I was saying with Sean, what I was saying about Sean is that he has the knowledge, obviously, from what we saw in his match against Ace. How Ace really went perfect, obviously, but those 3 questions that Sean missed out on. It wasn't until after he missed them he realizes that it just took a slight. He went up against his gut at times, or it was just more of like he thought about it a little too much. And to me, it was just more of those situations where I think with Sean, I know he's a great player. And more mock matches he's going to do, the more studying he's going to have, he's going to be at the point with Ace to where he doesn't have to worry about if he knows it, or if it's the, like, he doesn't have to second guess himself. Kind of like what we saw with Ace in The Last Jedi. I mean, with Sean Sullivan, it's just, I believe that match is coming, maybe the next Star Wars tournament, or in between we get another single Star Wars match happening to where he will play, no offense to Laura and her nickname, but he will play lights out.
Well, here's the thing about Sean, for me at least. He's on Shannon's faction right now, and I think that is a perfect place for him. Because last year at this time, who else was on her faction? Laura Kelly. And what happened with her? She elevated her game because that's what they do in that faction. So I have all the faith in the world that by the end of the season, she'll be in kind of contention for Star Wars belt, in my opinion.
Go ahead, Dave. Sorry.
See, I'm not sure that I agree. I agree with the fact that Sean's a great player because he is. I don't know. He's a very good player, obviously, as everyone is. I think the next Star Wars tournament, we forget too often that Shannon has Joseph Scrimshaw in her squad. Yeah. And I think that that's probably who will be getting the spotlight next time, unless it's a. Do we have confirmation that it's a larger tournament next time?
No idea, honestly. We don't. That's why when Ben and I were talking with Soda, the fact that each faction has at least 2 Star Wars players, this can be like an Ultimate Schmoedown where it can be 16 Star Wars players, maybe even a play-in match, depending on like if you got like players who are like trying to do double or triple divisions.
See, I want to talk about Ace in a moment, but I actually have a thought about Sean, and this is no disrespect because I'm a hockey fan. This stuff happens all the time.
Mhm.
Should Sean take a step down, go play in the FCL for a little bit to get those wins in? Because there's no, and like we've been seeing great stuff. We don't have enough time to cover the FCL. We watch it, we love it, but we got too much shit going on. I think Sean Sullivan is the exact kind of player. We see this every year in hockey, where someone or baseball, where they go from the majors, they're not quite performing at the level that they can. So take a step down, go to the minor leagues, get your reps in, then come back. I think that could be a really great progression for Sean, especially after he's already got 2 losses in Star Wars this season.
Mm-hmm.
I actually think it would be really bad for him to play another Star Wars match. I think it could tarnish how we think of him if he loses again. I think he has a lot to lose.
I have a question. I like that idea, but what would you say? And I don't even know if it's possible, because is there a limit on how many teams a faction can have?
There hasn't been an official. I don't even think it's in the rule book if there's a limit of teams. Or Christian or Jay or Grace have said exactly what the limit is on teams, but
okay. So my point, not saying no limit. Mm-hmm. What if Sean is put on that team, and you get that experience?
I think the problem with that is on another faction. I think that could work, but corruption has corruption, deception, and then they have guys like James White. They got the experiment. The experiment's still there.
Yeah, Dewberry and Hoyk. They were a team last season.
And they got, and like, I love Dewberry. The Team Machinima back in season 2 is what got me into the Schmoedown. But like, James White is also out there as a potential partner for Hoyk in this faction. I think it's just too stacked to put an untested singles or teams player in there, especially Star Wars. Maybe Intergeekdom, but Star Wars questions come up so seldom.
Yeah. Okay. This is not disagreeing with you, Ben. I think, Sean, if he really wanted that passion to play regular trivia, I think he would be great for a team. I guess for me with Sean, I really didn't. When he got drafted by Shannon, I didn't think she was the best fit for him. I mean, she did great with him in this match, but there's still something where I think Sean, he needs not just it's not the right faction or the right manager. He just because looking at Shannon's group, I mean, she's got so many heavily stacked people there. Yeah. I'm pretty sure, just like what Moose told us, I'm pretty sure everyone in corruption is helping each other out. Mm-hmm. But I don't know what Joseph's schedule is like. I'm pretty sure he may be in the next upcoming tournament. And I think Shannon is that person who's going to help with Scrimshaw, because to be honest, Joseph, he doesn't have to worry too hard on the studying purposes, because he already has because he already lives and breathes Star Wars. I mean, for Christ's sakes, he had a podcast with Ken on Star Wars, just like Laura had a podcast for Star Wars as well. And same with Ace, how he has with Sabak the Block. I guess what I'm trying to say with this is that Sean, it's really difficult to tell. Just like what you said earlier, Dave, Sean just needs maybe that one match or just that one opponent to where he's almost like on paper an even match. And then the questions just need to work within his range. Because if in his match against Marie, if Marie had missed her 5-pointer, that would have been a great win for Sean Sullivan. And then when we saw in her match against Gold Leader, if she had checked down the multiple choice a couple of times against Sean, that's a different situation as well. It's not about the player he is. I think everything falls down to questions, the way they're phrased, because there were a couple of times in this match where certain questions were phrased that kind of threw me off. And even also with Ace, I mean, especially in round 2, I wish I can remember them verbatim. It was just kind of like, how are they able to pull that answer out? Because that questions felt so complex or so complicated.
That's just what Star Wars is now, unfortunately. Now,
it's not just with Star Wars too, but I mean, in most questions I've seen so far in this league this season, certain questions that could have been very easy to understand if you phrased it right, but because this whole league's meant to challenge you, really make you think on it, things sometimes get a little more complicated to where the same question can be used in 5 to 6 different times the way how it's written.
Yeah. Now, I would love to keep talking about Sean Sullivan, but we're already pushing 40 minutes, and we haven't even talked about the person who wins the match.
Yeah, let's talk about Ace. Let's do that.
Let's talk about Upset City, Swag, Star Wars Player 2020, Ace Cabrera. Ace was a big question mark for me coming into this season because we saw him run the tournament last year, but then kind of underperform against Damon at Spectacular. Did you guys think that Ace was going to come out this strong? Because he crushed it.
There was no doubt in my mind.
I mean, after what he did last year, I was expecting him to come out like this, and he did. He wanted to improve, it wasn't a fluke, and that's what he did.
Mm-hmm.
To me at this point, I understand people want to say, oh, Ace getting that run was a fluke, or it was just by chance of luck. And this is not to downplay anyone saying that, and they have a right to believe that, especially the fact he lost TKO against Damon. The fact he was able to go sudden, the fact he was able to push Ken, Laura, and Demolanta to their 5-point questions. I mean, especially in his match against Demolanta, to where neither of them really missed. I mean, Demolanta, he missed his 5-pointer, obviously. But even then, it was still punching things up, keeping a very tight game. So that's why I thought with Ace, he was either going to keep us a tight game, or the questions, just like in that championship match, were going to trip him up. But it looks like he learned his lesson, because when he got tripped up, when he looked like he was struggling with the question, he paused. Really, because let's be honest, he crushed round 2. Yeah. He didn't take any more than 6 to 7 seconds answering a question. That shows exactly how much he has changed from his match against Damon. Seeing how in round Sullivan came back from a 6-point distance to push Ace's answer his 3-point in. So Sullivan, we see in round 3, Sullivan has that capability of being a great player. It was just Ace was lights out. He was in the trench run, and he didn't need a targeting in order to get that 2 meters, in order to hit that 2-meter exhaust pipe.
I understood that reference.
Yes. I was dropping too many of those when we were talking about Damon.
It's still in the brain. It still is. Now, Ace I love also because it's really like that loss at Spectacular lit a fire under him, similar to the way when he was being disrespected and counted out the entire season. I think this is just what Ace has got to do.
Even the draft kind of brought Ace down, was even bringing Ace down a notch into so many people's eyes, because seeing how that draft was, Ace got drafted in the 5th, the 3rd, 4th round. He was drafted under Laura, under Scrimshaw, under Demolanta, under the Star Wars, under the Dragon Con players. So everybody was really overlooking Ace because he gets picked in the 4th round. And I'm just like, why are you guys freaking out about this? He is still that damn good.
I really love that. I had concerns that Ace getting picked that late was going to cause a rift between him and Winston, even if it wasn't real in storyline purposes. And I'm so glad to see the two of them working so copacetically together, because like the Barbarian and Bobby Gucci, like Smets and Kaiser, Ace and Winston just fit. They are just so great together. And you saw that we haven't talked about management too much today, but Winston coming out, he really showed up for Ace, and I really appreciated seeing that.
Ben.
Absolutely. I mean, they go together like, kind of like Roxy and, well, I was going to say Roxy and the Odd Couple, but Roxy and Chef. I'll say Roxy and Chef. But yeah.
I'd still say Roxy and the Odd Couple, but I know exactly what you're going for. I guess that Band-Aid, that wound is still open, unfortunately.
Still fresh.
It still isn't healed yet.
So, yeah, I really like seeing Winston managing in this, and I really love the problem with covering Star Wars matches often comes down to the fact that you can't say, oh wow, I can't believe they missed this, or wow, what a weird challenge there, because like we see with Ace, when you go perfect, it's just like, and then he had all his questions, and that's very entertaining. I love seeing that.
Yeah.
Before we before we move on to the next match, Ace is going to be going up against Thomas Harper next. What are our thoughts about that?
That is going to be very interesting, I think.
Yeah. I think this might be one of the highlighted matches of the tournament, honestly. It's really going to be not whose brain farts, but who's really going to like show their hand. Not like first blood or so. I mean, it's literally going to be, honestly, no, I take all that back. It's literally going to be who's going to slip up, whose brain's going to fart first, who's going to cut first blood. I mean, who's going to check down to multiple choice. Like all of these factors are going to play in here to where if Thomas and Ace both play lights out, then we might see the first sudden death so far in a Star Wars match this season outside of the championship match.
Yeah, I really think that this is going to come down to that round too, because Ace showed last year that he is a very good player across the board. He has a floor. And like, you think back to the Ken Knapsack match where those questions were just crazy hard. And he was still able to, that's still like the hardest Star Wars match in history. Like, what even were those questions? And I think Thomas Harper also has as we've seen, he's got a very high ceiling, and we're not quite sure where his floor is yet. Yeah. So we're going to see, because this would be Harper's third match, I believe.
His third match. Yeah, he played against Witt in the tournament, and then I believe he played against Witt first match, and then he played against Whiteley in the tournament. So
that's right. That's right.
His third match. Witt played against Paquette in the tournament.
So we're gonna see because as we've seen with most people, being able to be good consistently is difficult to do. So I really think that that's what we're going to see coming into play in this match, where can Thomas keep it up, where we've seen Ace be able to keep it up at least through the length of the tournament.
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna hold your feet to the fire before we move on. Right now, Harper or Ace, who do you guys got? Ben, come to you first. Ryan.
Look, as much as I love Kate's new character and I'm loving her relationship with Harper, I have to go with Ace here. I mean, this is not going up against Rookie or so, but Harper is still right now from his matches. He's still in the moment where he's still trying to get a feel of this game. Ace at this point, those nerves are gone. He is experienced. He is Luke in Return of the Jedi. He is an experienced knight. He is just waiting for his big challenge, and his big challenge is yet to come. And I don't think it's Harper right now.
And I refuse to answer. All right, on to the
next. Of course you do.
You can't do that.
Of course, you're being all Snoke on us. You're trying to leave mystery in the air until when the match is over, you're going to try to reveal all the answers, like how Disney tried to do with those Ben novelization books. So go ahead.
Yes, and he turns his lightsaber towards his true enemy. I think it's going to be Harper. Friend. But if you want to learn more about both Ace and Thomas Harper's mindset and how they approach the game, check out Northern Consultations. We haven't had one in a while, but we've interviewed both of them in depth. and they both approached the game in a very interesting way. Shout out to Ryan in the chat. He's just coming back from the family, and I agree. We had some great matches this week. Different Ryan, obviously.
I know.
All right. Any final thoughts on Ace versus Sullivan before we move on?
Go away. Keep fighting Ace. Go get them.
All right. We can keep this next bit brief because we had Haas and we talked a little bit about the match. But would have been would have been like maybe I take the phrase what like what could have been, and I just say it really fast. Would have been. What could have been. These are two guys who, obviously, as the Moose said when we had him on just a little bit ago, no one knew who he was. Where Jacob, he was very prominent out on the Facebook group. He had the juice out there with the guitar. People knew who he was. So very different styles here. What were you guys' thought going into this match?
I'm going to admit because it's kind of like what they did with Brother Gomez, even more so. We had no idea who the Moose was. So going into it, there was this kitchen of mystery that really excited me to see these two guys play.
Yeah. I'll admit this was really like these were really two rookies that so far with the Finstock Exchange, they have been playing like nonstop with those TKOs. I mean, the fact that these rookies have proven themselves over and over, and then with the usual suspects, I mean, they've also done very well with their rookies. I mean, Amaru did great, Marie did very well, Frankie also was able to pull out a victory. So it seemed to me, Jacob felt to me he was going to be this was really going to be a true test on which faction really played the smartest on making pretty much making their faction of 80 to 85% rookies. And I guess to me, it felt this match, Jacob, the nerves really got to him on this one. Like Moose came in really prepared for anything. Unfortunately for Jacob, it seemed to me that he was prepared, but just not prepared enough. Like, I guess education-wise, Moose came in prepared to not only study everything within, let's say, the 6 to 7 hour school period, but he was also prepared for after hours studies, like school groups, study sessions. Well, Jacob was only there for the 6 to 7 hours, and then that was it. And then looking to go home. No disrespect to either of these players. It was just like from what we saw, Jacob like 10-4 after that first round. I mean,
yeah, I have to agree.
The points sit right there, and I don't want to reflect him as a player, but looking at the match alone, the points are saying a lot.
Jacob would have been man. Now I feel even worse because we have also done a rookie spotlight with him while he was trying to get drafted. Great guy, juice, super funny. Loved having them on. But I think to piggyback off what you're saying there, Ryan, the nerves is the real thing that gets me, because when I think about nerves, I think about who played Baxter Stockman in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows. And obviously Tyler Perry, but he wrote Bones as his answer. And that's not, first of all, Bones is not an actor, it's a TV show.
And it's the nickname of Dr. McCoy, Leonard McCoy. So
yeah. So
he wasn't in Star Trek range. He was in Star Trek area.
Star Trek range. But oh my god, yeah, Tyler Perry was in 2009 Star Trek.
Yeah.
Yes, he
was.
My
god, yeah. Wow, we're like 6.
Just like right there, Dave. That's exactly what I'm thinking of. I think maybe that's what got into Whitman's head, because there was so much connection going in with that.
That is so, Ryan. We have ways of talking to him. If that's what got into his head, I'll e-transfer you $1 million. There is no way that was the thought process.
I don't think I'm not going to guess the thought process, but like I'm saying, I've also done funny mock study matches with friends as well, and then learning the intense, complex filmography of actors, knowing that they've done so many dramas, but then you realize in their early careers they've done some comedies, they've done some romance films, or they've done like some animated movies or cartoons. Okay. I mean, Lawrence Fishburne, for best example, I had no idea he was in Pee-wee's Playhouse, and then or in Apocalypse Now. Yes,
that's news to me.
He was Cowboy Curtis in Pee-wee's Playhouse, and then I didn't know he was in Apocalypse Now. So learning about their early works compared to their work now, literally just throws you into a headspace. So
here's another one for you. Did you know Elijah Wood was in Back to the Future Part 2?
Yes,
I learned about that last year, actually. So
okay.
I learned about that. So I saw Back to the Future when I was in college. It was just one of those things that I just never watched as a kid. And when I was talking to a friend and he knew I loved Lord of the Rings, and he was like, hey, you know, Frodo, he's in Back to the Future too. I was like, oh my God, really? So I started watching Back to the Future, and I ended up loving it, obviously. But on the premise of Frodo's in it, and then my roommate pulls me aside in Back to the Future 2 and is like, there he is. And I'm like, that's it? It does he? And then I was in my head, I was like, oh, obviously he plays a bigger role in 3, not realizing that they were shot back to back. So it's like, that doesn't make any sense. He was like 5. That's been Dave's movie filmology learning corner.
There you go.
But Ryan, you're so right. The Moose was very, very impressive. Impressed the hell out of all of us, I think. Very confident in himself. And if you want to learn more about the Moose's process, go back half an hour because he was on the show.
Yes, he was. I mean, those tuning in live, just review. Just go back 30 minutes, and we had a great discussion and talk with Moose. Those, of course, watching this on the rewatch, you don't have to go back because clearly you already watched those past 30 minutes.
Obviously, this is for the future people, Ryan. This is for the future people.
Yes.
So Jacob getting Star Wars, though, I think is very interesting because he did all right in Star Wars, but for someone who is a IG/Star Wars player, not to the level that I expected. Do we think that just chalked that right up to nerves?
No, I don't think so. You?
I think it was a mixture of there were some hard ass questions, like how many bombers showed up to
that felt like something that was. Wasn't that one of the wasn't that an Aces match?
You know what? It was. I'm an idiot. It was.
No, it's fine because that's the thing with Jacobs. No, I remember because no, that was one of. No, that was Sean's question because Sean missed it and then Ace stole that.
Okay, well, someone in the chat, please correct us because I actually think it was in this.
I do remember the bomber question for The Last Jedi. Yeah, that was at first because Sean thought it was 9, and then Ace when it was an opportunity to steal, he had to run it back a little bit and got 8. But even then, that's just it. The Star Wars questions in this match, I can almost see all of them in any other Star Wars match. It's just how mixed it's become.
And I think that is it's a feature, not a bug, of the fact that there are so many more Star Wars and Inner Geekdom matches this year that I'm alone now.
I'm still here. Okay. There's something fuzzy with my lighting, so I'm just changing that a bit.
Okay, that's fine. There's more Inner Geekdom.
I'm sorry.
I was so lonely. I have abandonment issues, guys.
No, sorry, like I said, I just needed to fix up my lighting for a second. But keep going.
Yeah, there's more Inner Geekdom and Star Wars matches this season than there have ever been. By the time we finish this season, I would not be surprised if you took from season 5 to 7 and then combined all of those Star Wars matches and then said season 8, I guarantee season 8 would have more Star Wars matches than the other 3 seasons it's been a league.
Well, that raises some question to me. Do you think we'll ever get to a point in the league where we'll have a team Star Wars league?
Sorry,
man.
Ryan.
Oh no, I'm thinking about it.
I personally would say no, just because I don't think Christian has said this a lot in terms of inner geekdom. He hasn't said it about Star Wars, but he feels, and I would agree with him, it's more fun for the fans when there's a chance that you know it. And if we have a singles and a team Star Wars division, the amount of questions...
Yeah, it blows it out of the water, honestly. It really makes it intimidating unless you go to Dragon Con or you have a small group of friends who do these Star Wars matches.
Yeah, I think it becomes a little inaccessible just in the fact of how many questions would have to be asked. Now, this is like we got pretty into it last week, so we don't need to talk about it too much now. I think if they open it up to like Clone Wars, Resistance, Rebels, Bad Batch, like Mandalorian shows, if they open it up to like the shows, then it may be more obtainable. But
they're testing that out. They are testing the waters in FCL for that. That's for sure.
Yeah.
They are.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
And I think I'm going to have to add shows because as of right now, 2021, no movies lined up in the future. They're going to have to add Obi-Wan. They're going to have to add Boba Fett. They're going to have to add all these. Don't you think?
I think the problem gets it to me because I've always been against adding Clone Wars and Rebels because I think that goes to what I'm saying where it becomes so intimidating because it's like there's 200 episodes of Clone Wars, so it's like already Clone Wars is now the biggest category.
Yeah. And there's like over 50 episodes of Rebels as well, so that would already topple like some of the films as and I get it. I understand everyone wanting those these shows added on in there. It's just for the longest time the movies made a lot of sense, and at the same time, I like the fact that going through Star Wars with a fine tooth, you get to understand exactly how open that this world was, that these movies were. The fact that these side characters who were just there to add some color and background to these scenes. And I love the fact in novels and visualization books, you see that they even planned backstories. They planned they planned backstories. They planned relationships with these characters. So I like the fact with Star Wars, you get to learn some of this stuff, even if you don't want to.
Now we have we're going a little long. So, obviously, no fault of ours. We had a fantastic guest there in the middle. But do you guys have any final thoughts about the Moose versus Whittabin and what we think about that going forward?
I really enjoyed it, and I can't wait to see what comes next. That's all I have to say.
Yeah. Now that Juice has turned his back on Whittabin, maybe Whittabin will turn things around. That the Juice is no longer holding him back. Whittabin will become a better player.
I did not see that coming. I was like, these guys together forever. Obviously, like when we did our rookie spotlight, we had to make sure that we included the Juice in the thumbnail for that episode of Northern Consultation. So I was like, these two are going to be kind of like Laura's co-host Alice on Force Toast, where she still gets included in like the promos and stuff, and it's like, oh yeah, look at her, she's here too. I thought the Juice was going to be that for Whittabin, but turning his back, I'm like, where is this going to go? And I love it.
Yeah. Is he going to be the official musician for the Finstock Exchange now? Who knows?
That ultimate betrayal. Just
Like he'll
ultimate
just start
betrayal.
writing things for every Finstock member. So now in live events, Finstock's group players will start coming out to songs written by with the Juice's background guitar.
And then season 10 opening match, David B versus the Juice for musical rights.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Yeah. Okay. So final match. This will be the third time I've said it, and I'm gonna get it right this time. Paul Walter Hauser versus Josh Horowitz. Two celebrities, pseudo celebrities, however you want to say it, but playing singles and performing very well. What were you guys' thoughts about this match?
Very entertaining, and and I'm really happy they're getting more and more celebrities in this thing, in this space, only because the more they get, the bigger this will become. And the more they get, the endless amount of things Horowitz and the team will be able to add to this. Very well done, very, very fun.
Yeah. I was more looking, obviously this was meant to be Paul Walter Hauser's like coming out party in the Schmoedown because he was built up. Because when we saw in that promo, they were referring to his one-on-one interview with Christian on how Christian was able to bring out that little fun, like really whet his appetite to get into the Schmoedown. And then when Jericho had gotten involved, I remember Christian shared a tweet from Paul Walter Hauser on how the fact that he was he too was interested. So this felt to me like a very long thread that Christian had been stringing us all along with Paul Walter Hauser. And now knowing that he's here, this was kind of like a put up or shut up moment. I mean, we've already saw Josh. We saw he got his nerves taken care of in that teams match. Now it came down to this moment to where can Paul is the nerves going to be with Paul or will he keep up with Josh? And we saw he definitely kept up with Josh without a doubt. Each round was amazing.
Like this was a fantastic match, I thought, especially. And what really impressed me was the fact that these were two people coming in with a little more clout, but it was treated as if they were just any other rookies coming into the league.
Yeah.
A lot of people talk about, were the questions easier for Kevin Smith versus Jericho? And then were they easier for Jericho versus Brittany Young? Blah, 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 blah. But these were solid questions, and they were they were treated as anyone else, and that's what I'd love to see, because I think that is what grows the league, like Ben's saying, where you're not treating these as like guest appearances as much as real people. And I'm so glad also because Josh, despite the nerves showing in his match with Press Room, I was like, I want to see more of him. And the fact that we got that and he performed at this level really showed me this is going to be someone down the road that we need to look out for.
Yeah, with that, agreed. Especially even going back after the match was over and going back and looking at the team match, he really was a great support for Perry. Because Perry, even though she's a veteran, she still showed that there were moments where she still, struggled a little bit in categories. But in round 2, Josh proved to be a great support for her, really backing her up, and even at times regarding some help for himself. And one thing, the fact that in round 2, oh my God, I forgot he got romance in round 2, or he spun again. Yeah, the fact that he was able to sweep romance was amazing. And Coy was even stressing, like he was really trying to advise Josh to spin away because romance, because it's broad. We have seen many players in Schmoedown past matches have a great lead and then be taken down by romance or looking to come back, and romance barely gets them to the third round. So there's not been many players out there who we've seen really not dominate romance, but be able to really put out a strong showing in that category.
Yeah, and I think Coy is a great foil for Josh, where Josh obviously he's a fun guy. You see it in his promo, but has this air of professionalism about him. And then you get Coy's just frenetic energy, and you're like, these are two great things that should not work together, but they work so well together.
They do.
Agreed.
But also, like, we're talking about Josh, but Paul Walter Hauser, Hauser versus Jericho, the promos would be the best. They certainly would be something. But, Kaiser still has to convince Jericho to play for him.
Yes. Well, I would say more on that, but yeah, it's going to take a lot to get Jericho to play for Kaiser.
Do we even think that's possible this season?
This season, I think if it was going to happen, it would have happened at Collision, and I think we would have an announcement about it by now. So I'm probably thinking no. But it would be sorry.
It could happen at the Spectacular. All the first live event back.
Yeah.
I don't know if we could get first live event back because I think it's going to be tough to get because like they have to pre-record like Jericho and Smith's matches. So I don't know if they're going to be able to get Jericho in studio. Oh, that is the thing also, like in studio. It's probably going to be tough. But regardless, I was really impressed by even Paul Walter Hauser like listening to Sam, and even though it was clear that he's a busy guy, he's in the new Cruella film that came out, so he hasn't studied the game as much. Where he's like, can he still steal if I go down to multiple choice and asking questions within the round? It was clear that he has given it a lot of thought, and that's something I really like. And I don't like that he was like, I don't know how I feel about Viola Davis, but let's do it, because I think that was a moment where he forgot that he could respin. But
yeah, I agree. But at the same time, the fact that he is an actor and I can't guess his thought process. Looks like even more. I could not guess Jacob's thought process in his IG match. I guess for Paul, for him, he wanted to prove a good showing, and because Viola Davis is a fellow actor like he is, he felt he could actually navigate that category very well, and he did. Not even offering a single steal for Josh. I mean, the question on what Tyler Perry movie she was in, I thought that was a guaranteed steal because I'm not the biggest Tyler Perry fan, or I don't follow his movies after Medea's Big Family. But geez, that one, the fact knowing the fact that Viola Davis was in one, it proves exactly with an actor's filmography, you have no idea that they were in this movie. Like I had no idea that Viola Davis was in 4 Steven Soderbergh films. Okay, let alone in a Tyler Perry film.
Viola Davis is one of those actresses where you think, I think I could name all of her movies, and then you open up her IMDb and it's like she has been in so much shit. Oh my god.
Yeah, forget the TV show How to Get Away with Murder that got her on the spotlight. She had so many more filmography from television and movies before she even got there. Mm-hmm. So the fact that go ahead, Ben. It's yours.
I just want to say she's kind of like Regina King that way. They keep building that filmography with TV and movies, and you forget how much stuff these women are in.
Yeah, but I also really liked that both Josh and Paul, neither one. Hey, look at me using their first names. We're best friends. Both of them, we see a lot of rookies taking that quick, like hip firing, and first thing that comes to their mind, they're answering. But both of them were taking their time answering the questions. And despite what I said about Walter Hauser being a really great, being super busy, it's clear that he is a very intelligent guy and also very competitive. As you can see, he's how broken up he is at the end of the match.
100% agree. Do you think he's going to take that and build his knowledge and come back stronger?
I think so. And the thing is, like, he missed one question in round 1, and then he got everything else right. So if that is his debut, I am super excited to see what he will do in his next match. And, right now, the usual suspects only have lightning time. Drew McQueen needs a partner.
Yeah, that is a very great choice. I know suspects, there's still a few other players that have not played yet in their faction that have yet to have made their debut, honestly. But even then, if another team's tournament comes up, I would not be surprised to see how Paul and Drew as a team.
Yeah, I would imagine there's going to be another team's tournament just because I would hate to not have a fall team's tournament because we've had one for so long. Even a smaller one another small one like this.
The one we recently just had, yeah.
Yeah. But it's weird. I was going to say, but with, all the A teams, but that's only because Corruption and Shazam were not in the tournament. So it was just a lot Final Exam had the most experience in that field.
Yeah. And I maybe the fact when Christian does go in the studio, he is going to be scheduling so many more teams matches. That was because last year, that was definitely his field. He wanted to do a buttload of singles and teams matches before everything went down. So, because come on, looking at season 7 last year, there was maybe only 2 IG matches before it went digital and 1 Star Wars match before it went digital. He had everything of singles and teams lined up. So I'm pretty sure the moment we do get a studio again, he's going to get right back on it and start scheduling singles and teams matches. And with him definitely keeping digital, I know there's going to be a balance of that, without a doubt in my mind.
Absolutely.
Now, we are coming up on an hour and a half here. Yeah. Paul Walter Hauser versus Josh Horowitz. Josh Horowitz, obviously, he ends up getting romance like you were talking about, Ryan, running the table, doing fantastic in round 3, winning the match. Who would we like to see Horowitz play next?
Let's see. I would love to see him play Gripping Noobs.
Oh, that'd be good.
That would be another great. Give him another actor to go up against.
You know who I would like to see him play? Perry.
Yeah, you know what, Perry. I'll be interested to see if Perry jumps back into singles this year, because I think the Mercs have a lot of great singles players. So I wouldn't be surprised if she focuses on teams. But yeah, Perry would be a great little see if the press room can get revenge.
Yeah.
Yeah, because this team, even though there were so many new teams for this tournament, that first round should never honestly not be a reflection of the performances. I'm more disappointed that look, I'm loving what Kate's doing with the Den, but I'm really disappointed she did not keep the Pride going. I love Paul and Ben together as the outsiders, but the Pride was pretty much her established team. That's still me being like, why are you trying to undercut Rachel Silverstreety? Give her time in the light, for Christ's sakes. We still haven't seen her playing a match yet.
I think Rachel's a fantastic player, but similar to Sean Sullivan, I think she's a player that could benefit from going down to FCL. She's 0-3 in singles, 1-3 in teams. Not to count.
I know. Aren't they 2-3? Because they
lost to Whitney and
they lost this. No.
And then they've lost in the first round of the teams tournament last year. So sorry, 1-2.
They beat Real Rejects, and then they beat another team.
Oh, they beat the Butcher Boys. Sorry. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
okay. So, yeah, I would love to see, but I do think Paul and Ben do make, with the loss of Tom, I think that just makes sense, especially when we see teams like Lightning Time and Deception and Rushmore, and not to mention Shazam, and the Otter couple could potentially be going down there. I think I think Rachel's done very well and is probably the player who has, similar to Brandon Hanna before last season, she's probably the other player whose record most does not reflect their skill level.
It personally doesn't to me, but
yeah. But I think just based on her record, I think we have FCL now for players who need to get, because I think what it will take once Rachel gets that first win, I think didn't realize that we would be having a Rachel Silvestrini conversation on this conversation, or in this episode, when not even anyone from the Den played.
I know, right?
That's why I'm thinking this June we're gonna get a lot more Den players up to bat.
Yeah, but to go back to the question I asked that sparked all this, you took the words out of my mouth almost, where you said Griffey Newman for Josh's next player. I was going to say Ty Lieberman, and it's like those are just both exchange boys.
Oh,
who 0-1 with a 1-0 with a TKO under their belt. So
Kim Taylor Foster, actually, I would love to see.
Yeah, that wouldn't be bad. She
needs to get a singles match as well. But as we look to the future, we got to wrap up tonight's episode. So, Ben, Ryan, any final thoughts on this match, or anything you didn't get to say about any of the other matches before we say goodnight?
It was a great week, and I can't wait to see what comes next with all these players.
Yeah, same here. I mean, I could go on more and more talking about this, and I would definitely love to dedicate another 35 minutes to talk about why Rachel Silvestrini is being underused in the Schmoedown, but that's me. But other than that, this has been a great week of matches, the 3 ones that we got, and the Schmoedown pay-per-view that we had. Great way to close out May. Makes me even more excited as we are building to the Collision. But
yes.
There's nothing more I can't say. This was just great.
Yeah, this was a great week of matches, and I loved seeing all these players play. And I loved talking to you guys, as I always do. I love bringing in the extended Schmoes of the North family, the Mount Schmoedown boys. So, Ben, or actually, Ryan, I'll go to you first. Where on the internet can people find you and keep up with you?
Well, of course, we have our YouTube show, Mount Schmoedown, that is a part of the Schmoes of the North network. Yesterday, if people are interested, we did a great talk about Alex Davis. Actually, this whole entire month of May, Ben and I were able to put together great shows along with our other co-host, John. We talked about Sam Levine. We talked about Drew McWeeny. We talked about Clark Wolf. We talked about Alex Damon. And even before Sam, we talked about Stacey Howard. And this upcoming next Saturday, June 5th, we are going to be revisiting one of the best Intergeekdom players. That would be Kevin the Smasher Smets. And other than YouTube, you guys can follow me on Twitter. Kind of like with Moose, I'm a bit of a ghost. Every now and then I'll pop up and maybe post something. But my Twitter is caramel_pain. And then anybody out there who, other than movie trivia, are big wrestling fans, I co-host a podcast with the current FCL competitor, James Shimo. It's called the Wrestle, Ramblings, and Rages podcast. It's available on Spotify, Apple, and Podbean, and Stitcher. I bring it up, but I forgot to write it down so people can at least type it in. But I'll say it again, the Wrestle, Ramblings, and Rages podcast.
FCL player, I think we mean FCL star James Shimo, the only person to play in both matches on a single card.
Yep. That is true.
Also, Like, before I get to Ben, I gotta say, like, you guys have been. If you're not watching Mount Schmoedown, go watch Mount Schmoedown because these guys, this last forever, obviously, but specifically this last month, y'all have been killing the game. Like, I have loved every episode you guys are doing. Go on, give those episodes some love. Watch it 5 more times.
Yeah. I mean, just for the view count, guys. Just for the view count.
and we might have a special surprise next week for you.
Oh, a special surprise. Thank you, Ryan. Ben, where can people find you on the internet?
I'm on Twitter at @man_Rainer. Like Ryan said, you can find me at the Mount Schmoedown every week. You can also find me on my other YouTube channel, the Media Swedish Network, where we do Shooting the Breeze, recapping at a flagship show, Get Ready. And I think that's everything.
And now it's my turn to give the long, rambling Schmoes of the North thing. First of all, if you're not subscribed to our channel already, you're not a part of 216 awesome people. You could be 217. Go subscribe at Schmoes of the North. It's right down there. Thumbs up this video. Right down there. Not below me because Ryan's below me, but below Ryan and slightly to the left. There you go.
Yeah.
Join our Facebook group. A lot of great people talking about Schmoedown, Schmoes in the North on Facebook. Don't have to be Canadian, just have to be a good person. Follow us on Twitter at Northern Schmo. We try to, sometimes we live tweet the matches. It's a good time. We have some fantastic shows also here that are not Schmoedown related. We have the Canadian Comic Book Corner with myself and Soda. Hey, do you like Star Wars? Do you like the Schmoedown? Do you like the Schmoedown's gold leader, Evan Burkett? Or not Burkett.
Evan Bushcard.
Bushcard. I just talked to Zach Burkett earlier today, so it's in my head. Evan Bushcard. Well, we have a show co-hosted by him on this network. Let's talk about Star Wars, where him and our other Schmoes in the North co-host Taco sit down and talk about Star Wars, everything from Legends to canon. They just did an episode yesterday ranking all the Skywalkers, Legends and canon. It was a good time. Does David Schwimmer make an appearance? Yes, but you'll find out how if you watch the episode. Our good buddy Daniel has a great show talking about everyone's favorite TV show. I'll be on there soon talking about Avatar: The Last Airbender. And also, every Friday and Sunday, you can catch Schmoedown Night in Canada right here. And if you want to follow me, but I know you don't, Baby James Lee's on Instagram. Don't worry about Twitter. It's fantastic. And with the great words of Ryan, before we say goodbye, it's better to be Canadian, and have a good night. Bye, guys.